Okay, so this is the second and hopefully last of these such questions. In fact, there's no hopefully about it. It is the last one. If I'm asked any more questions like this or the previous one, I'll just ignore them. So what is a brown noser and why do I fucking hate them? Now, a lot of the time, people who ask this already assume that they know what the answer is, and without exception, whenever they have assumed what the answer is, they've always been wrong. One answer that particularly springs to mind, this is going quite a way back actually, this is well over a year ago, in fact it may even be 2 years ago. Someone said, so anybody who doesn't agree with me is therefore labelled a brown noser. Well, that proves that you really do not know what a fucking brown noser is, because I do constantly invite people to provide alternative views to every single point I make. And the last thing I want is people who will just mindlessly agree with everything I say, even if their own opinion is actually completely different. Again, I used Daddy07. Now, he was a fucking brown-nosing cunt, and would always agree with everything that I say. And like I said in the last answer, to the point where he would make his own videos where he would again repeat what I said, giving it as his opinion, whereas in fact his own opinion was the polar fucking opposite. So yeah, I certainly do not want any fucking brown nosers on my channel. I don't want people fucking brown nosing me. So right, well let's start then with what is a brown noser. A brown noser is somebody who insists that everything about their game, it doesn't have to be Elite Dangerous, I mean there are plenty of Elite Dangerous brown nosers, but every fucking game going pretty much has its brown nosers. But yes, they will insist that everything in the game is perfect, and that the developers are the greatest people on the face of the earth and deserve nothing but praise, and in some cases they barely stop short of offering more. And that if anybody criticises their beloved game or their beloved developers, they never actually attempt to put across an alternative point of view and stroke or back up their claims as to why the game is brilliant and, you know, phenomenal and sheer perfection. Instead, all they will do, because it's the only thing they can do, is just constantly bash whoever it was who dared to criticise the game in question. So we'll stick to the subject, and in this case we'll say, you know, anybody who dares to criticise Elite Dangerous. Now, there are plenty of them who will say that I'm saying that purely as a reaction to all the fuck off you cunt comments that I get, but if you look at say the channel by what's his fucking name, Cornelius Breedis, I'm sure I've massacred the pronunciation of his name there. He was clearly starting to get rather disillusioned with the game. He was doing, he did certainly a handful of videos where he was criticising the game design and how the game was put together. And I think actually he's become entirely disillusioned with it because he hasn't done a video for 7 months. So I just don't think he bothers with the game anymore. And I mean, he was an extremely popular YouTube contributor. But even when he was criticising the game, he got brown noses basically saying, you know, fuck off you cunt, just because he dared to criticise aspects of the game. So of course when you get a channel like mine, where I am forever pointing out everything that's fucked up about the game, and you know, all the features that are missing and all the features that don't work, and this, that and the other, I get a fucking shitload of them. And on at least 2 occasions, fairly recently, a couple of my videos have had far more views than they ever warranted. As I say, I do nothing to advertise my channel. I remembered I did briefly do it when the game was still in about like beta 2 stage, somewhere around then. I used to do a thread on the Elite Dangerous forum, but yeah, I stopped doing that fucking years ago. So yeah, I never bother announcing that I've got a video coming up, or you know, there's a new video on there. But these 2 videos in particular suddenly got, you know, from out of nowhere, over, well, certainly well over 1,000 views. One has had, I think it's over 2,000, and the other one is approaching 1,500, whereas usually I get anywhere between, say, 300 and 600 views. So it certainly looks to me that what has happened is someone, obviously a brown noser, has come along and said, you know, come along, seen it, and has then either posted something in the forum or something in Reddit with the line, look at what this cunt is saying about, you know, the game, he's talking bollocks and all this. And that as well. And so all the other brown nosers then all come along just to vote the video down. Now, I don't give a monkey's toss about down votes. I don't give a monkey's toss about up votes. So much so that one of my regular viewers voted down one of my videos just pissing about. And I said, you know what, you're right. So I voted it down as well. I voted down, I think, at least a dozen of my own videos. So I do not give a fucking monkey's toss about anything like that. But of course, what they're doing is generating more views for the video, which means that it's going to be moved higher up as far as search results. So people are going to find it more. So what they are actually doing is making sure that more people will see the video that they hate and don't want a lot of people to see. So it is completely counterproductive. But that's the other aspect of a brown noser. They are as fucking thick as pig shit. They do not possess the intelligence to figure out that most of their actions are either deliberately, you know, provoked by me. I know what to say and do that will, you know, fucking make sure that they can't resist, you know, viewing, and can't resist, you know, reacting to. That is entirely why it's there. Of course it fucking is. And as I say, they certainly do not possess the intelligence to be able to, you know, offer constructive criticism. That is what the big difference between someone who is a fan of the game and someone who is a brown noser. I've had comments, not very many, but I have had them more recently than, you know, back when I was still just starting this. But I've had comments from people who are fans of the game, but at the same time can admit quite freely that the game has issues, and they do then offer alternative viewpoints. In the last actual gameplay video, I don't know, actually was it the last one or the one before, where I was saying about the voice of the ship AI, the ship computer. I think it's fucking terrible. But someone came along and said they don't agree with that, and they actually offered a reason as to why. It's such a rare occasion that it fucking blew me away, and I never actually answered to it. I don't agree with them, but, you know, at least they fucking offered an alternative viewpoint. And like I say, that's what the fans will do, but the brown nosers won't, because as soon as they hear a negative comment, they then shut off and don't listen to anything else. So they hear me saying, "Oh, look at this is shit," and then when I go into why, they've already stopped listening. They're already writing "fuck off, you cunt." So, yeah. As far as they're concerned, all I'm doing is bad-mouthing the game, but they don't listen and don't want to listen as to why I'm actually, why I am bad-mouthing it. If the game was good, I would be saying it is good. But it isn't, so I don't. So why do I hate them? Well, like I've already said, Elite Dangerous is certainly not the only game that has brown noses. Every major title has its brown noses. And the brown noses are the reason why the gaming industry today is such a fucking shitfest. These days, games are always released unfinished. They're always released with bugs and glitches still present. They are always released with a load of features missing, which you then have to buy as DLC, so you've got to pay more for just to actually get what eventually becomes the complete game. And the reason developers and publishers do this and get away with it is because there are always plenty of brown nosers who are always the most vocal people of any games community, who will sit there and say that everything about the game is fucking fantastic. So of course, as far as the developers and the publishers are concerned, what they're doing is fucking great by releasing a game that's unfinished and bugged and glitched, and they're going to then charge you extra money so that you actually end up getting the full game as it should have been in the first place. It's got to a stage now where if a game is released and there is not a release date patch for it, everyone's asking why. The mere possibility of a game being released in a state where it doesn't need a day one patch never enters anyone's head nowadays, because it always happens. And it's the brown noses who have made it get like this, because they constantly say that everything is fucking great, and and you're a cunt if you don't think so. There is one exception. I'm a big fan of the Heroes of Might and Magic game series, and that series has a vast amount of brown nosers, and they are the second worst community of any game I've ever played. Elite Dangerous is the worst by a distance, but the second worst is Heroes of Might and Magic. But they do it very differently. When Heroes of Might and Magic 4 came along, everyone was saying, oh, it's shit compared to 3. Mind you, in the case of Heroes 4, they had a point. It was fucking terrible. Then along came Heroes of Might and Magic 5, and all the brown nosers were saying, oh, it's shit compared to 3. We want Heroes 3. Then Heroes of Might and Magic 6 came along, and all the brown nosers were saying, oh, it's shit compared to Heroes 3, we want Heroes 3. You're seeing a bit of a trend here. So all of the new features that were in 4, for what it was worth, 5 and 6, all of the vocal brown nosers who were saying, oh, it's shit because it's not Heroes of Might and Magic 3, they said they didn't want to know. So, although I don't know if this is true, this is what it looks like to me. The developers who got the contract to do Heroes of Might and Magic 7, now they knew that by agreeing to code this game, it didn't matter what they did, the most vocal members of the community would say it was shit because it wasn't Heroes of Might and Magic 3. So right from the start, they got the community involved in the developing of the game. So they would always ask them, right, what feature do you want in this game? How do you want such and such a feature to be implemented? What factions do you want here? Blah, blah, blah. And of course, it was the brown nosers who were the vocal ones who answered, told them exactly what they wanted. Of course, what they wanted was Heroes of Might and Magic 3 remade. So then, Might and Magic Heroes 7 gets released. And the developers have done exactly what was asked for from them by the community. And the result is that a lot of, in fact I say a lot, almost all of the new features from Heroes 6 and Heroes 5 are now all gone. And the game is very conservative. I still think it's a decent game, I'm still quite a fan of it, but yeah, it's a very conservative game. There's an awful lot of features that could have been there, but they're not. And all of the brown nosers are saying, well, there's not much here, is there? It's a very, simple, boring game. You haven't done a lot with it. And the developers can then turn around and say, fuck you, we've given you the game you wanted. So if you don't like it, you can't fucking complain because we've done what you asked for. And I think they are some of the best gaming developers in modern times because they've done that. They've basically used the bullshit that those brown noses constantly spew and turned it against them. So hopefully now, when Heroes of Might and Magic 8 comes along, or if it does, then they will do the game they want to do and just say fuck off to the the brown noses in the community. We've already given you the game you wanted and you didn't like it, so now shut the fuck up and let us do do what we want to do. That's what I am hoping. The only way they were able to get away with that was because the brown noses in the Heroes community are real cunts and constantly saying that every game that came along was shit because it wasn't Heroes 3. So obviously with Elite Dangerous that can't happen. In fact, with almost any other game that can't happen. So with this game, they listen to the brown nosers who say everything is fucking wonderful, so they think they can get away with releasing any old shit, which is precisely what they did with the 2.3 update. So that is what a brown noser is, and that I think quite conclusively reveals why I fucking hate them. Because they infest the gaming community like fucking syphilis, and they are the reason why game development is in such a fucking shit state. Right. Now, any of the other questions will hopefully be purely game related and game playing related. That's it for this sort of stuff. So, right, on to the next one.